Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl, Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
You're one breakthrough away from your next six-figure year. Maybe it's a better offer, a sharper sales process, or finally cracking client acquisition. Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets, where every single week we hand you the strategies, frameworks, and real-world plays that are working right now for coaches just like you. I'm your host, the Road Dog, with the guy who tiptoes past the medicine cabinet so he doesn't wake up the sleeping pills, Karl Bryan. Let's get into it, Shoots.
I like it. Tiptoe, tiptoe. Well done. Well done.
Well,
Some creativity, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Road Dog. What's going on, Shoots?
Even a squirrel can find a nut in the snow, Shoots. Even that can happen. Speaking of, I saw that Huntsy it's still snowing at times in Winnipeg. He's posting, he's teeing off, and it's snowing at times. I'm like, dude, it was 28 here, and as I was teeing off on the weekend, it was real nice. Real nice.
You got to respect the commitment to his golf game, though. He's dialed in. He's dialed in.
Hey, fun fact. So, this is hockey related, and here's my own rabbit hole, folks. This is the Road Dog rabbit hole moment of the show.
Go.
So I'm watching a youth girls soccer game yesterday, as one does when you're a girls coach. And this is from one of our premier teams. And my friend's dad, follow that one, shows up. And I'm like, man, this guy looks a lot like Don Hay. You know why? Because it was Don Hay. And I'm like, what are the odds that Don Hay is standing beside me watching girls youth soccer at the moment? Remember Don Hay?
I remember Don Hay for sure. Very famous business coach or hockey coach for those in the room. There you go. Yes. Well done.
Yeah. The Vancouver Giants. Who else? Oh, he did the Blazers for a while. Was he not the head coach of the Flames for a couple of years there, Shoots?
Yeah, he's been everywhere, but he's been everywhere. He's legend. Well done. Legend, Don Hay.
Listen, speaking of legends, your good buddy and legend Stuart Gibb had a question, and I hope you're ready for it. He asks, do people care about improving on status quo? ? I'm like, well, that's a heck of a question right there, because at times, I swear to God, people don't care to go beyond the status quo. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm Stewie. Stew's been one of my best buds since we were about 10 years old. So there you go. So, okay, just hang on. What do people care about? What going past status quo? Yeah. In a word, no. Right. I've spent millions on advertising, and I can tell you that improvement doesn't pull well when you're advertising. I would dare say you would say, okay, well, what does pull well? Comfortably, 2 words, new and next. New business, new career, new staff, new training program, new marketing campaign, new website, new team, new leads, new process, new operating system that can be installed for them. The new profits, new life of being semi-retired for the rest of your life, new relationship, sadly, and of course, next level. In fact, Steve Jobs started a company post Apple, and what was the name? Hopefully you know, but the name was Next. I think there's a bit of magic in that for all of us. So of course they say they want to move on from being average or, in this example, I guess, status quo. But the stats and data show it's not a powerful motor. Improvement is not a powerful motivator. Sell them and speak to them in new and next, significantly more motivating. And it's going to convert to the higher level. So that's my answer, Shoots. In a word, no.
You didn't go down a rabbit hole. I don't know what to do with myself right now. Typically, I get real comfortable when it's these rabbit hole type questions where I'm like, oh, I've got a good 15 minutes on this one. Okay. This may seem a little off the wall, but you always say that the amount of failed marriages due to business, right? Like in terms of a failed business can absolutely crush a marriage, can crush a relationship. And so I wanted to get into that because we do get a few questions coming in, just any good advice. And I thought this was perfect. Like, you're an entrepreneur. Yeah, life's pretty different. So any advice for marriage advice as an entrepreneur?
My thought is I bought the right guy I should be answering this shoe. That's my first reaction. Well, I finish every email, my daily email. Hopefully you're getting that. Marriages break up from a lack of money over a lack of love times 100. By the way, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Go look it up. You decide. And again, I can't help but say that this would humor my wife that I'm getting asked this question. 21 years with her and more up and downs than, any roller coaster at Disney World. Good news there. No one waits in line for a flat roller coaster, as I always say. So enjoy the ups and downs. Don't fight them. Go with them. I like the greatest long-term marriage. And this is going from a very close friend and mentor of mine, but long marriage of like 50 years. And he says it's like a greatest marriage is like a wild bucking bronco kind of ride. And in the words of my father, Skinny, business is hard on business is hard on relationships. Business is hard on marriages, right? It's like, yeah, I'm going to go rabbit hole here, shoots, but spouses don't open up because vulnerable moments become a debate, right? So I wrote this again on Facebook some time ago now, but like men want to be admired, women want to be adored, right? So the worst thing a wife can do is show a husband disrespect, and the worst thing that a husband can do is show his wife, his partner, emotional neglect, right? So if you were to ask me for a little bit of step by, like, just marriages, and again, I'm not the right guy. There's people way better than I am at it, but here would be my shot, right? Like, your spouse is not there to fill the hole your parents or your childhood left for you, right? Like, no amount of love from your spouse is going to heal that. You got to do your own work. And quite frankly, I think you'll find that it's draining for them to keep propping you up, for you to keep propping them up. So there's you, there's her, and then there's your partnership as three separate pillars. And I would consider treating them as such, as three separate pillars. Translation, you got to do your own work. I would also say that physical touch is not a transaction. Stay physical and hugs, kisses, and all the stuff that may or may not happen in your bedroom. But like non-sexual touch is like oxygen for a marriage and a relationship. It's what I think some very smart people in this area would say to you. And maybe before you get married, depending upon where you're at, but you want to see how someone's going to handle an issue like disagreeing, a flat tire, bad food at the restaurant, right? If you can't handle an inconvenience, you'll capitulate in a tragedy, right? And tragedy, guess what, are going to happen over a long-term relationship. The end. So you want somebody who's going to be lethal in a crisis. I want you to feel like you are lethal in a crisis. I want you to be lethal in a crisis on behalf of your marriage, on behalf of yourself, on behalf of your lovely wife or your awesome husband. Translation, find someone that makes you better. You make them better. Together you become better, right? But you got to do your own work and manage your own business. Be very, very careful to take your business, your challenges into the kitchen table, into the bedroom, etc. You got to just you got to deal with that stuff. Anywho, and in fact, Mother's Day just passed, and how part of how I support my wife. It's like, I don't know, but I sign every card that I give her. I say together forever, right? And I think that is kind of cool, right? That's our thing. Together forever. So good, bad, indifferent, together forever. Anyway, Shoots, that's my advice. And I do think it's a really good question. I do think it's something that as entrepreneurs, we should be thinking about. And most of all, as a business coach, Don't think for a second that you're not going to have a client who is going to have challenges in their marriage. And I think if you can guide them a little bit, create a bit of a framework, that might be able to help, because they're thinking, I'm the only one who doesn't have a supportive spouse. And that is not the case. They're just a little bit trained. Anyway, Shades, that's my answer. What do you think?
So I want to do word association, and I'm going to start with the first word as inspired by my wife, and that word is no.
Are you serious, Shoots?
Yeah, I'm 100% serious. I'm like, you know what? We got to do word association, and the word is no. I'm like, well, speaking of wives. Anyways, natural pivot, Shoots. This is how the pros do it. Go ahead.
Shoots, world's greatest segue. No. Yes is growth. No is success. That's Warren Buffett 101. Focus is the things that you say no to, right? If you have 3 priorities, you've got no priorities. If you got 5 priorities, you definitely have no priorities. So like strategy, in fact, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but strategy is saying no to everything outside the core thing. Okay. It's Michael Jordan saying no outside of everything that didn't make him, the best basketball player and win him the championship. So you bring that into business, and some great examples. Southwest Airlines, they have like a 1-sentence strategy for their company, and that is a plane on the ground makes no money. Really, they had to get incredibly dialed in on getting people on and off the plane, and incredibly dialed in on getting the luggage on and off the plane. And that created the dynamic where their planes were in the air more than the competition. You may or may not know, but Southwest Airlines, they've had some different times lately, let's call it. But at the end of the day, they made more money than all the airlines combined, right? Or is it FedEx, when it absolutely positively has to be there the next day, right? Got to say no to everything outside of getting that. Or Zuckerberg connecting the world. Domino's comes to mind, pizza in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. Imagine how dialed in they had to get on their delivery process, right? Like one of the things I used to do is I would take on a coaching client. I want to put $100,000 into their bank account within 100 days, right? So again, imagine it's pretty straightforward as to what I had to do. I created the framework and I went all in. And by the way, for those in the room that sounds somewhat intimidating, the 100K can be annualized, So anyway, so it's pretty easy to know what you got to do, when you got to do it, which is now, in order to make that kind of a reality come to fruition, right? What do I want to say? The roadmap and the measurement becomes easy, and your client's dialed in, you're dialed in, let's go, right? Because remember, they always want to drag you into the weeds. Relationship issues, staff issue, this issue, that issue, every damn issue. Dial them in on their bank account. Profit's a domino that knocks over all the other dominoes, right? Like progress equals happiness, right? Stack up small wins and make sure you show them. Like if you're going to put 100 grand in their bank account, it's going to be annualized. You've got to show them the small win, right? And again, stack those on top of one another. Can be pretty awesome. It comes to mind, okay, so you are paying rent, and we negotiate with your landlord, which you would have never done without my prompting, and we find a way to shake $500 a month off of the rent, or let's just go to your expenses. Okay, what is that? That's $6,000 a year. And where does that $6,000 go? And the answer is straight into their pocket. So I make sure that I alert them to that. I high five them on that. I congratulate them on that. And then I say, look, let's keep going, right? The goal is X. Their $6,000 is going to land in your bank account. Bingo, bango, pongo. By the way, always successful? Hard no. But you know what? It gave us a frame, and it was very sexy at the beginning of the relationship, and it continued to be sexy as we worked through it. So, Sheets, I want to go in a slightly different direction, right? Like a different frame. A successful business, life, marriage, maybe also, is often the things that don't happen, right? So what do I mean? Like the divorce you didn't get. A lot of people out there have been married for 20 years and they said it's a roller coaster. So grateful that it didn't end. Or the fights that you didn't have, the deals that you didn't do, the regrets that you don't have, the illness that you don't get, the illness that your spouse doesn't get. Maybe it's the drugs you didn't take, the booze that you're not addicted to, the cigarettes maybe that you didn't smoke. the lifestyle that you chose not to live, right? The errors you didn't make, right? One of the most profitable things you can do in your personal life is to try to not impress someone and certainly not impress everyone. Think neighbors, right? Especially the ones you don't know. And by the way, they're not impressed by your BMW, your Mercedes, your thing, right? Or the fact that you're sitting first class and they walk by, right? They hardly notice and they 100% don't care, and they've been in those seats too. It's really not a big deal, right? That said, you want to fly first class, I'm all for it, right? But again, little red arrow, you are here. Like, where are you at? You buy stuff, you end up with stuff, right? So there's nuances to this. And shoots, maybe like I have bought cars that they stretched me, right? It's like couldn't, you know what I mean? That it wasn't a good buying decision at that point. But when I look back, it was a wise decision, because what it did is it really pushed me to elevate my game, think both inner and certainly business, right? So nuances to what I'm describing here, right? And how do you get there? You need a starting line, you need a finishing line, and that'll help with what the roadmap looks like. Your client's roadmap, both in business and in life, right? But I think what I'm trying to say, Shoots, financial stress can be exhausting for the wrong person, and it can be debilitating for the wrong person. You want to make sure that you're dialed in on your client and where they're at, the level of uncertainty. Like Tony Robbins talks about the 6 needs that drive somebody. Well, one of them is certainty and one of them is uncertainty. If they're totally dialed in on certainty, then you might want to adjust that roadmap, and maybe buying the $100,000 car is a horrific idea. If they are driven by uncertainty and building this massive business and they plan to buy the Ferrari, maybe that's a really good idea, right? And maybe like think of it this way, like a starting line. A kid who grew up in a loving home can try hard drugs and be totally fine, right? A kid from a dysfunctional home with non-loving parents can do the exact same thing. And what happens? He ends up with a 20-year drug addiction, meth addiction, etc. Right? Translation, not good. But you kind of, there's a lot of this is psychology, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But in a word, no. Yes is growth. No is success. And you really, really want to dial in on getting good at saying no. And difference between a $500,000 business and a $5 million company, and a $5 million company and a $10 million company and a $10 million company and a $25 million company and a $25 million company and a $100 million company. One word: priorities. Dial them in. So that's my answer, Shoots. That's my answer. No.
Okay, so the next word that I'm going to throw at you, this kind of reminds me of, like when you catch up with a buddy and you're like, oh yeah, I talked to so-and-so and yeah, he's getting married. And then your wife is like, oh, is that right? Well, what's their story? When's the date? When is this? When is that? It's like a million. It happens. I swear to God, every time, every single time I talk to somebody. Oh, how are their kids? How's their wife? I'm like, oh, I don't know. We didn't talk about that. What did you guys talk about? Anyways, so my next word for you is questions, as inspired once again by my wife, who always seems to have a million questions. After I talk to, like, say, my buddy Brent in Calgary, I'm like, no, I don't know how his kids are doing because we didn't talk about it. So there you go, Shoots. Questions. Word association. Questions.
Nice segue, buddy. I love it. Your wife's she's getting some airtime today, Shoots. Well done. Okay. Well, I tell you this: thinking is nothing more than asking and answering questions to yourself, right? So when you do that properly, you're directing their thinking, and the good news there, it automatically gives you authority, right? So do you have a business plan? No. Do you have a marketing plan? No. Do you have a marketing budget? No. Do you have a defined sales process you can show me? No. Right? Well, really hard for that individual to say, look, I don't need any help. Right. So you get it. And when you say, do you have a business plan? Do you have a marketing plan? Do you have a marketing budget? It automatically provides the assumption that you've got all these things, and most certainly you can help create them. Right. So anyway, so thinking is nothing more than asking and answering questions to yourself, getting good at answering questions, a good thing. In fact, you talk to Tony Robbins, you speak to him for 30 minutes. He is going to speak 20% of the time. You are going to speak 80% of the time. What's he going to do? He's going to ask you questions, and then he's going to go a little bit deeper, etc. Um, okay, this reminds me of there's a famous Jim Rohn talk. I'm going to call it framework. And it's like 4 questions, and it's why not you, and then really importantly, why not now, right? So why? Knowing what you want is important, but knowing why you want it, mission critical, right? Like why pay the price? Why work this hard? Why contact business owners? Why learn the operating system? Why install the operating system? Why go this far? Why try to develop yourself to the best of your ability? Why learn the basics of accounting and do my 4-day training, which you should do? Why become all you can become? Like build your list of whys would be the frame, right? And then what do they say? If the why is strong enough, then the how is just going to look after itself, right? Probably heard that before, and I believe that to be absolutely fact, right? Okay, so why? Why not? Why not see how much you can learn? Why not learn the operating system that can be installed into any business? Why not build a career where you can be semi-retired for the rest of your life? Why not become the best version of yourself? Why not influence local business owners towards more profitability and a better existence? Why not build the JV with the local accounting firm? Why not step in and save them from themselves? Because again, we know that 90% of them are ultimately going to fall over, and a business doesn't fall over overnight. It's an 18-month nightmare. Go save them, right? Like make it personal, right? Why not? And then that parlays into his next question, which is why not you, right? You have the brain, you have the wherewithal, you have the know-how, you have, you could learn the operating system that can be installed. Super simple. You can change your life. You can change their life. You can grow to eye-watering levels, right? You can be the local go-to person that people go to help grow their business, right? You can make their dreams come true. You can make your dreams come true, right? You can build a legacy for your family. You could create a financial wall around your family so that nothing could get through, right? You can become healthy. You can become significantly healthier than you are now. You could live to 100. You can be powerful beyond measure, but don't ask the question to walk away. Ask that question and walk with them, right? If you can save a suicide, you can save a coaching client. If you can save a suicide, you can convert a coaching deal. You can save a business, you can save a life, you can save a family. I always say, like, we're like ambulance drivers as business coaches. We are literally saving lives. I believe that's a powerful frame. But at the end of the day, like, why not you? Right. The truth is, you're like people. Remember, you're not scared of posting on social media. You're scared of being seen. You got to get past that. Right. And then what's the last question? Why not now? It's Jim Rohn 101. This one's critical. Like, why not now? Go and get your dream life, right? Give it the oxygen that it deserves. Speak it into existence. What you say to yourself about yourself when you're by yourself absolutely matters, right? There will never be a better time, right? You're never going to feel ready. It's not going to happen, right? It doesn't happen. You just got to take the first step. You got to, create that dream career for yourself, or again, become semi-retired for the rest of your life, which is what happens when you become a successful business coach, right? Make it your reality and start now. And Jeff Bezos was here. What would he say to us? He'd say, step by step, ferociously. All right. Or maybe what he would say, or somebody like him would say, like, perfection is just going to stop it from happening. There were a million reasons for Bezos not to start Amazon, and he did it, and he wasn't even close to ready. Frankly, the internet wasn't ready. But what did he do? He did it, and apparently it worked out pretty well. Anyway, so perfection is just going to stop it from happening. But importantly, Shoots, why not? What's next? Why not you? And then why not now? Could be some powerful questions to drive yourself forward. What do you think, Shoots?
Speaking of questions, I want to throw a couple questions at you that we typically hear, and I just want to see like how you would respond to them, right? So the first question is, a business owner says, I take all profits and I reinvest it all back into the business. Why? Because I'm told that's how to scale my company. What are your thoughts on that?
Loaded. My answer is loaded question. Things are easy to start, hard to finish. You'll common thing that I've said and wrote in my emails for years. You'll be remembered for what you refuse to give up on. Question is, what do you refuse to give up on? Hopefully that's local entrepreneurs and installing the operating system and, making wildly profitable businesses around you. There's a really good book called Profit First. Okay. And I'll just ruin it. I'll just save you a couple of days of reading. Pay yourself. Well, it's not this simple, but pay yourself first is the premise, right? Paying yourself first. Why is that important? What do I like about it? Why am I recommending that book? That's how you last, right? Build profit in as an expense. Like take a percentage of your revenues and just make it an automatic expense. The same way you pay your rent. It's $5,000 a month. What happens? You don't question it. You don't, toot around, decide, will I or will I not pay this, right? You just pay it. Your utility bill is the same. Take a percentage of your revenue, have your clients take a percentage of their revenues, put it straight into their bank account and act as like on your P&L as an expense, right? And I'm not talking about buying the boat, flying first class or the Mercedes here, right? I'm talking about retaining some earnings for a rainy day and making it all feel worth it. Okay. Translation, psychology matters. Here's a saying, how does it go? When profit goes, passion erodes, right? Introduce me to a business owner who's tired, exhausted, overwhelmed, and thinking about giving up. And I'll introduce you to a business owner who's not realizing profits, or certainly the profits are going in the wrong direction, right? Like Bill Gates, what did he used to do? He's got a, I don't know, famous story, but a very, a story that is out there. He had a year of expenses sitting in the company bank account at all times. Okay. Why did he do that? Psychology. It made Microsoft strong in their decision making. It made him strong in the decision making when he was in the CEO chair, right? Like he could make long-term decisions instead of short-term decisions based on cash, right? Another way of saying that would be a superpower of an entrepreneur. 2 words, delayed gratification, right? So, yeah, a poker player who consistently places all the chips in the middle, how does it end without me even finishing, right? He ends up going home early, right? Or certainly has to go buy back in. And poker is a game of math and ratios. So is business, right? You show me a really, really, really good poker player, and I'm going to show you somebody who's good at math and does a lot of, like they do math in their head constantly. Otherwise, they don't become one of the best. And by the way, so is business. Accounting is the language of business. Maybe said better or less for those that accounting's kind of intimidating, and I get it, and I was there. Make math the language of business, if that makes you feel, you know what I mean? It makes it a little bit less intimidating. It's so far from rocket science. It is scary. If you can do, basic addition and subtraction and multiplication, you can do business math. Anyway, so take a percentage of revenues and build it in as an expense. I think that would be a better frame. That's the way, that's how you build to last. Now, shoots, before I throw it back. Okay, so Sam Walton, very famous book, Made in America. Okay. He would disagree vehemently. Okay, but I'm going to assume your client is not Sam Walton. So it's the psychology above many other things here, shoots. But that's what I think. Taking all profits and reinvesting. There's a time and place for that for sure. Thinking that that's the way to scale a company and that's the way you need to do it, I think is a way to create a frustrated business owner that ends up going belly up. That's my answer.
And I love the fact that you talk about poker and the guy that goes all in all the time. Oh, wait, that's you. Literally, folks, if you play with Karl, if you even have a marginally good, just know he's going all in, like every time. Like it is
7-2, baby, my favorite hand. It's the worst hand in both.
Okay. That's almost as good of a strategy as the next question that I have for you, which is, hey, once we reach 2 million, the profit margins will just look after themselves. Thoughts on that one, Big Shades?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. If it's not profitable at 1 million, assume it's not going to be profitable at 2 million, right? Growth does not expand margins. It eats into them, right? Like what my dad says, the eighth wonder of the world, expenses have a funny way of meeting revenues. And I believe he is correct, right? Another saying is too much money makes you stupid. Not necessarily relevant for here, but with that one, too much money makes you stupid. Absolutely, positively, no question. Unless, and by the way, so these companies, like I'm just thinking, so unless of course they install the operating system, right? But clearly that is not the case on average. Otherwise, statistics would not be the statistics. So the follow-ups, okay. So we're going to get to 2 million, and the boats are going to level and everything's going to be fine, right? So the follow-up question to that, or the follow-up frame to that is, we're going to take market share, and then we'll adjust the strategy to become more profit-centric later, right? What they're really doing is they're thinking like Amazon 101 or Walmart 101. And I would just encourage you to assume the roofing company, the plumbing company, the HVAC company, the painting company, the chiropractor, the dentist, etc. Just assume that you're not dealing with the next Jeff Bezos or Amazon. And I don't say that to be harsh. I just say that it's unrealistic, right? Like, look, there's 3 laws of real estate. What are they? Okay, hint, the same 3 words repeated, and that is location, location, location. So I'd parlay that into 3 laws of business. What are they? Profit, profit, profit. Profit is the domino that knocks over all the other dominoes. So install the operating system that I've created for you is what I would highly recommend with these business owners. But like the average business owner at 300 grand a year gross revenues is trying to get to $1 million. Okay, no doubt. You go to the networking function. This is what's going on. Well, they can accomplish their goal of getting to $1 million and what? And lose money or make a negligible amount of profit. And then what happens? Well, they become vulnerable. One rogue staff member, one bad client, one client goes bankrupt, etc. And you go, you know what I mean? You go from black to red real quick. But they got what they wanted. They said they wanted to get to $1 million and they did, right? So a better goal. So you say, okay, well, help me create a better goal for that individual at the networking function. Look, let's get it from 300 to 600 with 20% net margins, no exceptions. Okay. Like that is the way that I'd be thinking about it. Right. And then keep growing and then maintaining those 20% net margins. Okay. So translation to all that. Remember, revenue expenses have a way of meeting revenues. Control expenses on the way up, which they never concentrate on it. They never concentrate on it, and it's just not on their radar. It's against the norm for the average entrepreneur. It just is. And by the way, of course, there's an accountant who started a landscaping company, and then I would be wrong in this instance, right? But we don't, we're not doing the anomalies here. We're playing the percentages, and 100% on average we're correct, right? And by the way, I always say McDonald's, they could spend as much money on French fries as they want. Guess what? It's not that they don't spend an extra dollar on French fries. They don't spend an extra penny on French fries that they don't need to. Why? It's the operating system. They've installed it. They never veer from it, right? Worked out okay for McDonald's. So maybe it's going to work out for you. Maybe it's going to work out well for your client. Hopefully it's going to work out well with your client. And it will if you keep them on the railroad tracks and dialed in on installing the operating system, upsell, downsell, cross-sell, proper upfront offer, market dominating position, joint ventures, additional products and services, controlling their costs and increasing their prices ever so slightly, a couple or 4 times a year. Anyway, Shoots, that's my answer. Thinking that you're going to go from 500 to 1 million, 1 million to 2 million, 2 million to 5 million, then profits will look after themselves. Very common and the wrong frame. So that's my answer, Shoots.
Okay, I got a bit of a different one here from one of our coaches. He says, "Hey man, I've been doing this for 10 years, feeling a bit stale, and I'm getting the feeling I need a change. I've been very successful with coaching, sold well over $1 million of coaching services, done thousands of hours of coaching. Any advice?"
Any advice? The real question is, do I dig in or do I pivot? Right? People meet a coach doing seven figures and say, that's awesome and what I want. Right. What they don't see is the wild roller coaster of digging in to get there. Right. Like, so worded differently, people are envious of what you have, but not envious of what you went through to get it. Right. So, like any coaching dynamic, I would need 2 points of reference. I need a starting line and a finishing line, right? Where are you at? Where do you want to go? The line in between those 2 points is the coaching, right? Super easy if the 2 points are properly established, which is, harder to do than it sounds. But so far from, it's not difficult. You just got to get dialed in on it and you get better at it, right? Like people I know in this space, and I'm going to guess that this guy's over 50, right? Like what they hear, like semi-retired for the rest of your life, they hear that and they look, it sounds sexy. It sounds amazing, right? Problem is it takes compounding. If you pivot your career every 5 years, guess what? It's not that you don't get there. It's that you can't get there, right? So it's a story that Charlie Munger says. He says like compounding, right? The wonder of the world. He's like, you got a plant and it's growing, right? You know what you should never do is don't grab the plant, pull it out of the dirt to check out the roots and see if it's still growing, right? And then put it back in. What's that going to do? Going to kill the plant, right? It's going to kill your compounding. So another way, worded differently, is that Charlie Munger will invest, may he rest in peace, right? But he would invest in companies. And when did he sell? And the answer is pretty much never, unless it needed to happen, right? So he wasn't. So his equivalent of whipping the plant out of the ground is selling the stock and then starting again, right? You lose the compounding magic. So anyway, so hopefully you're kind of getting that. So just dig in is what I'm trying to say. Like there will actually, this stat comes from my man BJ O'Neill. Love him. There's going to be 5.3 million business applications go through this year, right? Up like 25% plus over last year. And guess what? They were up like 25% over the previous year, right? Translation, people are starting businesses like never before, and the stats will be consistent where 90% are going to fail, right? AI will accelerate that, not improve the statistics on behalf of the business owner, right? You want a parallel? Just look at the internet boom in 2000. More businesses started during the internet boom, and what happened? More failed, right? So those 5.3 million new businesses, what do they all need? What do they all have in common? They have in common that they don't know what the hell they're doing, right? They're running in the wrong direction, enthusiastically looking for a sunset. Not a good idea. What do they need? They need direction. They need discernment. They need some coaching. They need an operating system to be installed, right? So never a better time to build a coaching business and help entrepreneurs get their sea legs ever, right? And I would just, semi-retired for the rest of your life. You get 10 clients at $2,000 a month. You coach them every second week, right? Easiest thing to do. If you do the work, right? Anyone can afford you, including the guys at the networking event doing $300,000 gross. It's so easy to deliver $48,000 of value, of real value per year, so that they double their investment, assuming you're $2,000 a month, right? So 10 clients at $2,000 a month is $240,000 a year with like 80% margins, right? You golf and travel when you want. You do your calls from the beach. Do them in your pajamas if you so choose. You lose a client. What do? You got to go pick one back up, right? The longer you do coaching, the better you get at it, the easier it gets, the more referrals come your way, the stronger your network that you've built. It's Warren Buffett 101, right? You increase your fees. I said $2,000 a month. You're going to increase them, over time, and you're going to get the $5,000 a month. You're going to get to $10,000 a month. And that's what I would aim for, semi-retired for the rest of your life, right? And by the way, I would aim for that if it appeals to you. I need to understand what your finish line looks like, right? Like I've been in business coaching for 21 years without a break, right? Guess what? I never whipped the play. Believe me, and don't think for a second that I didn't think every once in a while, I might go here, I might go there, but I fought that, new next desire. And here I am 20 years later, right? Translation, my career has wildly benefited from the word that Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett would give us, which is compounding. I never ripped up the plant to see how the roots were doing. So Shoots, I want to get back. So I want to get back to this question here. The real question to answer, the real problem to solve is, do I dig in? Do I pivot? And by the way, do you think the business coach is the only one thinking about changing careers? Do you think the landscaper, the roofer, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker might be thinking the same? Right? Absolutely. I would kind of say this rhymes with what I said earlier. Like, the secret to success is saying no, right? No to change is wildly challenging, but that's where compounding comes from, right? My drunk aunt in an email, she goes, "Oh my God, you're so tight." And I said, "Oh, what's that?" And she goes, "It's the rope I walk between sanity and insanity." Did I just get canceled? There we go. But anyway, so that's, it's like, it's this rope that you got to go between keeping going and, you just got to fight it. You got to look, I have built 6, 7, and 8-figure coaching companies. I can tell you with ridiculous certainty, digging in is better than pivoting into the unknown. Just dig in, blow up the boats. It's going to be worth it. Right? Like, the word decision comes from the word incision, right? Cut off other options, and just do what you know and get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Right? You get like a third. If you improve 1% a day, you get a 37x improvement over 12 months. Wild, right? So I'd say get focused. And if you're going to do that, what do you got to do? You got to manage the boredom between 9 and 5. You got to lean into it. Success, here's something I've said for years. Success is the same movie over and over and over and over again for 10 straight years. And then I apologize. Like, sorry about that. But that's Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger 101, right? Get your excitement. But look, you're driven by uncertainty. You need variety in your life. Road dog, me. Your client also. Get your excitement from bungee jumping, go golfing, go rock climbing, go e-foiling, go on a holiday, and do what you know day to day, so you never fall into the late life trap of not knowing what tomorrow looks like, right? Because that's the horror story. That's what you want to avoid. Do you want to turn 70 and have to go and retool? Right? You ever gone to McDonald's and seen somebody working there and like, how does she end up working here? How does he end up working here at this age? I can tell you with predictability, that's somebody who changed their career consistently, chasing that, that uncertainty, that variety, that creativity. And they might, I don't know, interview what they would say. I don't know what they'd say, right? Like, I know there's two words that very seldom come together: old and rich. When you meet somebody who is old and rich, I suggest you ask them some questions and use the old 2 ears, 1 mouth, and listen. So just, boredom day to day. It's a wonderful thing you can't appreciate until you no longer have it, right? But that said, sometimes change is as good as a holiday, and it's an individual decision. So this is not black and white. This is gray on steroids, but I'm going to suggest dig in. Like, the starting line and the finishing line is going to give you the answer. Certainly dig in before you pivot as a frame. Now, remember, you want to build a business you could sell tomorrow, but don't want to. That's cool. Anybody who's got one of those, everyone around them would say, that's amazing, that's amazing, that's amazing. But again, they're jealous of what they got, but not jealous of how they got there, which was saying no consistently for 20 years, maybe. So build a boring business that gets easier and easier over time, right? When you're 90, coaching is going to be 10 times easier than it is today. My opinion is that's an amazing career. It gets easier. Your network gets stronger. You get that much better at helping people move the needle and get the results, etc. But you'll need to dig in and avoid pivot. You got to say no rather than yes, maybe from earlier. Many times between now and then. I don't know, Shades, what do you think? Got a rabbit hole. That's what I got.
Yeah, I was gonna say, holy smokes, that's a rabbit hole. I said, hey, I was thinking, if you want excitement, how about teeing up on a tight fairway with houses all along the right-hand side? Now that's living on the edge right there, Shoots. That's there you go. Okay, so we're up against the clock, and I'm gonna give you 2 options. Option A, one more question. Option B, moment of zen. What are you feeling more prepared for? What are you feeling more? Are you in a
Zen, baby. Zen shoots. Hit me.
All right.
Zen all day long. I'm ready.
Let's go, folks. You've been
Yeah,
waiting for it.
I got this. Is not only am I ready, shoots. This is prepared, bud. This is prepared. I'm going to let everybody down now. Like expecting some sort of magic. I want you to imagine you've got a drug. And what did that drug do? That drug made you look better, feel better. It provides social interaction, right? Loneliness is an epidemic, so it's going to help you avoid that. It's going to provide you longevity. It's going to decrease your cancer risk, decrease heart disease, and improve your heart health. How much would you pay if I could bottle that up and get it to you? Okay. And of course, no doubt that, hopefully I set that up properly, but what are you going to say? You're going to say a lot, right? Well, that drug that I just described is what? It's exercise. But business owners, and it might be you and it might be somebody else, right? But business owners say, I don't have time. It single-handedly increases time in all areas of your life, right? It is the single greatest investment in your life. It's not a stock. It's not a treasury bill. It is long, like Warren Buffett isn't Warren Buffett if he didn't live into his 90s, right? Compounding 101. If he died when he was 69, 68, we wouldn't be talking about him, right? He wouldn't be famous the way that he is. He'd be a very brilliant guy and a very brilliant businessman, but nowhere he would not be Warren Buffett, right? So for that reason, I don't miss the gym to the best of my ability. I'm not perfect, right? But, I'm going to the gym pretty much every day. So shoot. So that's what but anyway, so that's my setup, right? So I don't know. That's what I think you should be thinking about. Translation, you need to go to the damn gym. What does Tony Robbins say? He says when he takes on a coaching client, he makes them take care of their physical body as a starting point, because he says if you can't look after your physical health, you're not going to be able to look after your mental health, and then he's not going to be able to guide you, right? So a really good thing for you to be doing with your coaching clients could be getting them dialed in on their physical health and really, kicking them in the backside. That's my Zen moment, Shoots. How did I do? That's all I got. Hopefully that worked.
Getting kicked in the backside is too Zenish, but yeah, let's roll with it, Shoots. This is hey, we create our own types of Zen around here, folks. That's how it works. Listen, everybody, thanks for hanging with us for another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. Here's the deal. If you want more of this every single day, Karl sends out that daily email that he was talking about, packed with coaching strategies, client wins, and the stuff that's actually moving the needle right now. So head over to focus.com and get on the inside. It's where the real work happens. And hey, if this episode helped you, do us a solid, share with another coach who needs to hear it. Leave us a review if you're feeling generous, because we are on a mission to impact as many coaches as possible, and you sharing the show makes that happen. That is it for another week, folks. We'll see you in the next episode, and remember, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.